a whistle as I pull out in my Rolls Royce. Yellow bone passenger, they see it, they say, oh boy. Tell Kelly, back it up, my call me loco. Down for armed trafficking, don't make me pull up. Ask you what you laughing at, represent that mud life. Dirty money, better get your mug right. We come together holding hands and holler mud life. We all strapping all black, it's like life. You riding or what? Cause we riding tonight. Now she riding with me cause you wasn't riding.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there.
Heat in the kitchen, pot on the stove, water getting boiled. Being sold, Snoopy in the hookie, system overload. I've been running this rap game since I was 20 years old. I hung with the worst of them, bust till I burst them up, floss them up, toss them up, harder work, close them up. Pardon me, I'm bossing up, brace you up, bless you, bro, don't mess with us. We like the U in the 80s, back to back, set a track, hit the lick, get it back, get the trick, jump the track. Want my money back, time and time again, while I'm sipping on this gin. Al Davis said it best, just win, baby, win.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they stay there. fingertips. Last bottle of Jack, we split a fifth. Just talking about life, going sip for sip. Yeah, you know you love to fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next Vice President of the United States, Senator JD Vance.
Why don't we liberate these United States? We're the ones who need it worst. Let the rest of the world help us for change, and let's rebuild America first. Our highways and bridges are far and far. Who's blessed and who has been cursed? There's things to be done all over the world.
Wow. It is good to be in the great state of North Carolina. Thank you all. Now calm down, please, calm down. You guys put something crazy in the water here in North Carolina. Well, I have a message. In 75 days, we are going to take this country back. We're going to elect Donald J. Trump, and it's going to start right here with the great people of North Carolina. Now, I don't know if y'all saw, but today is the third day of the Democratic National Coronation. Excuse me, I said coronation, I meant convention. Sorry for the confusion, but you know, conventions normally are about nominating people who actually win elections. And Kamala Harris hasn't won a single vote for the Democratic Party, and yet they're going to make her nominee. Now, I watched it last night, and Democrats, they think they've cracked the code for how to appeal to normal Americans. Did you watch last night? Are they going to change their policy? No. But now they're distributing camo hats with Kamala Harris's name on them. That's their strategy for appealing to rural voters and veterans, is a camo hat with Kamala Harris's name on it. Now, you know what I think would appeal to rural voters and veterans, Kamala? Not having a running mate who lies about his service record. Why don't we try that? You see, Tim Walz says that he served in a war zone. And it turns out the closest he ever got to war is when he let rioters burn down the city of Minneapolis under his watch in the summer of 2020. Remember that? Now let's just reflect, now that we're in day 3 of the Democrat National Convention, how bizarre it is that they're doing some of the things that they're doing. Normally, conventions, they celebrate nominees who are elected by the people. And let's remind ourselves, how many votes has Kamala Harris won in the Democratic primary? 0. 0. That's exactly right. 10 million illegal aliens, but 0 votes. That is the record of Kamala Harris. Now remember, the party bosses installed Kamala Harris because they can control her. That's all this is about. Her agenda is not an agenda for the American people. It's an agenda for the people who have gotten rich off the decline of this country, and we are not going to take it. Are we? Now remember, it was her donors, it was Kamala Harris's donors who got rich when we shipped millions of manufacturing jobs off to China and other countries. Americans, we got poor. Her donors got rich when America printed trillions of dollars to fund her green scam policies, but Americans, we paid higher prices for groceries and housing because of it. And now her party wants more power, and the way they're going to do it is that she wants to give all those illegal aliens the right to vote. But out here in the state of North Carolina, we believe the only people who get to vote in our elections are the people who have a right to be here, not illegal aliens, Kamala Harris. And this November, starting right here in the great state of North Carolina, we're going to send a message to the corrupt leaders of this country. We do not need a president selected by power brokers. We need a president for the people, and that's why we're going to send Donald J. Trump back to the White House. There is so much at stake in this election. Think of everything that this country has endured over the last 4 years of Kamala Harris's broken leadership. Prices are up and wages down. Our borders are wide open, but we've had a lot of factories closing down. Fentanyl is available on every street corner from North Carolina to Wisconsin, but it is impossible for young Americans to find an affordable home to raise their families in. Now, Donald J. Trump represents something that so many in this country need right now, and I think it's important to recognize that we need hope in the United States of America. Hope that we can reignite this economy and bring back prosperity to American citizens. Hope that we can raise our kids in secure neighborhoods and safe streets. Hope that we can renew the patriotism that binds us as a country together, one nation under God. My friends, for a lot of us, for a lot of the people that we fight for, the American dream seems out of reach today, the most out of reach it's been in a generation. But in 75 days, we're going to save the dreams of every single American, and it will mark the beginning of the future all of us deserve, and we're going to do it together. Now, we're here to talk about national security today, and saving the American dream, let's be honest, it starts with peace. Peace in our neighborhoods, peace in our cities, and peace at the southern border. Lord willing, we bring back the leadership of Donald J. Trump. We're going to have peace all over the entire world. He did it once before, and I think he's going to do it again. Now, if we don't have safety for our families, if we don't have security for our country, we don't have anything. And I'm a firm believer that when we talk about national security starts right here at home, right here in the great state of North Carolina. And there's been no greater area where Kamala Harris has failed to deliver peace and national security than at the American southern border. It is a disgrace, my friends. I cannot believe how bad it is. Now, the media will lie to you and tell you that she was never the border czar. You heard that? Even though they all said she was the border czar for 3.5 years. And remember that as border czar, Kamala Harris has allowed a literal invasion of this country, more than 10 million illegal aliens, and she's refused to deport the people who are already here. So that makes about 25 million illegal aliens that are in this country right now. Now, our brave Border Patrol officers, they beg for her support. I was down there at the southern border and I saw it. Giant sections of President Trump's border wall sit right there, rusting, waiting to be installed, but she refuses to do her job. And you think it's bad now? If we give Kamala Harris a promotion and make her the President of the United States, the southern border is going to look like Walmart on Black Friday, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be no good. No fun at all. Now, while she offers amnesty for the people who've broken our laws, we have a different message. President Trump and I have a different message. To all the criminal illegals who flooded across Kamala's wide-open southern border, pack your bags, because in 6 months, you are going home. Now, just weeks ago, I actually visited the southern border, which means that I've visited the southern border more than our borders are Kamala Harris. I saw where little girls are trafficked by the drug cartels, some of the most vile people in the world taking advantage of innocent little children and making money off of them. I met a rancher who endured violent criminals raiding his land, just a rancher in Arizona trying to get by. And I see the desperation of families torn apart by the fentanyl and all the other poison the cartels are bringing into our country. Now, I know the hurt of that poison very personally. A lot of you know my story. I remember being a kid whose mom struggled with addiction. I remember waiting at the bedside of my mom, angry that she had taken something that she shouldn't have taken, but just praying, Lord Jesus, please let her wake up. Let her make it through this time. And we got to remember, my friends, because of Kamala Harris's border policies, way too many of our loved ones are not waking up. Way too many kids have been orphaned. Way too many grandparents are raising kids they didn't expect to raise because Kamala Harris allowed the drug cartels to wage war on this country. I think it's time to wage war on the drug cartels, and that's going to start with Donald Trump's leadership. Now, the president's going to be here in just a few minutes, but I almost feel bad for him. Because this is not the first time that Donald Trump is going to have to clean up somebody else's mess. Now remember, in 2016, he took over from Barack Obama, who let ISIS spread mayhem all over the world. Then Trump came along, and in a couple weeks did what the media said could not be done. He wiped him off the face of the earth. And remember, when we win this November, and it's going to start right here in North Carolina, I think the cartels are next. We're going to do just to them what Donald Trump did to ISIS. Now, I will admit it is hard to make sense of Kamala Harris's foreign policy, especially when she explains it like a third grader who didn't study for a class presentation. Have you ever seen Kamala talk about the Ukraine-Russia war? I'd recommend you go and see it, but wait until November, because you're going to lose about 20 IQ points when you watch Kamala Harris talk about Russia and Ukraine, and we need that over the next few months. We need you guys in top form, so don't watch it just yet. But she'll say, well, Ukraine is a country in Europe, and Russia's a country in Europe. And then you say, okay, well, what comes next, Kamala? And the answer is nothing comes next because she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. But if you want to give her the benefit of the doubt and understand her foreign policy, remember that she bragged on CNN about playing a key role in the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. Now, that was before 13 innocent service members died at the Kabul airport. That was about 3 years ago to the day. That was before the world witnessed panicked civilians cling to the sides of retreating American airplanes. And that was before they gave the Taliban billions of dollars paid for by you, billions of dollars of helicopters, planes, Humvees, and artillery. It was the worst humiliation this country has endured since the fall of Saigon, and Kamala Harris says she's proud of what she did. It was treason, and is it any wonder that Putin then invaded Ukraine on her watch? Or that Iran attacked Israel on her watch? Or that this very moment China is ramping up its aggression against Taiwan on her watch, when Kamala Harris walks in the room America's enemies sense weakness. And that's why we have got to fire Kamala Harris, not give her a promotion. Now, she wants to represent America all over the world, but she's terrified to face a friendly media. Does anyone think that the person who runs from the friendly American press could stand up to Vladimir Putin or Kim Jong-un or Xi Jinping? Of course you couldn't. So if you believe that a strong America requires a strong leader, I've got a recommendation for you. Why don't we re-elect President Donald J. Trump? And while we're on the topic, don't send her stolen valor sidekick. Send a former Marine. Send JD Vance to be vice president. We got some Marines out there. Semper Fi. Now, Kamala Harris, she gets really mad when I bring up the stolen valor of her running mate. But let me tell you why it matters. Every single person here understands why this matters. Here's the record on Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. He dropped out of the military and allowed his unit to go to Iraq without him. And he knew they were going to Iraq. He lied about it, but he knew they were going to Iraq. Even his chaplain called him a coward. And those of you who served in the military know the chaplain is the nicest person in the unit. If the chaplain is calling you a coward, you must have really screwed up. He claimed to carry a weapon in war, but you ask him, Tim, what war have you ever been in? And the answer is he's never been to a single war. He lied about it. He lied about his rank, and he stood in silence as Nancy Pelosi and a lot of journalists praised him for his service on an imaginary battlefield instead of correcting the record. What won't stolen valor Tim Walz fib about? In fact, I believe at his next speech, he's probably going to say he survived an assassination attempt in Pennsylvania. I think that's what Tim Walz is going to claim next time. Now look, we don't criticize, and this is where the media is dishonest here, we don't criticize Tim Walz for his years of service in the National Guard. We condemn him for lying about that service for political gain. It's disgraceful, and nobody should tolerate it. Now, Tim Walz needs to not only explain why he abandoned his Guard unit, he also needs to explain his bizarre love affair with China. Have you seen this? This guy's been to China more than the U.S. ambassador to China. He got married in China. He visited China over 30 times. He honeymooned in China. He taught a course approved by the Communist Party in China. He even brought American high school students with him on visits to China. Now, I know, and we all know, that Kamala Harris wanted to outsource our factories and jobs to China, but I didn't expect her to outsource the selection of her running mate to China, too. But here's the problem in choosing him for vice president. It's not just about Tim Walz, it's about Kamala Harris's terrible judgment. We do not need a president with terrible judgment. We need Donald J. Trump back in the White House. Nothing matters in national security and foreign policy more than judgment, because nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows what crisis is going to erupt over the next 4 years. And I got to be honest with you, my entire adult life has been shaped by presidents who threw Americans into unwise wars and then failed to win them. And if we're being honest, it wasn't just Democrats, it was sometimes Republicans too. And what did Donald Trump do? He stood up to the chicken hawks. He bucked the foreign policy establishment. Even sometimes he resisted pressure from within his own party. In President Trump's 4 years in office, we had 0 new wars. We had peace all over the world when Donald J. Trump was president. In the Middle East, he brokered the Abraham Accords, brought stability, and created a long-term balance to Iran. In Europe, he pushed the Europeans to take more responsibility for their own defense so the United States would not have to pay for a bunch of freeloaders. We ought to focus on our own security, not subsidize European welfare. They can take care of themselves. And never forget, as much as the Democrats said that Donald Trump was somehow on the side of Russia, the only president of the last 20 years who had Russia not invade a neighbor was the presidency of Donald J. Trump. He kept Russia in check. He's the only president of our lives to do it. Under Kamala Harris, Putin invaded Ukraine. But under Donald Trump, Putin didn't do a damn thing, and that's because of strong leadership. People respected him. And that's, by the way, my friends, why we were able to defend our own border, is because Donald Trump didn't have us distracted by fighting wars that we had no business being involved in. We got to focus on our own border right here at home. That is the Donald Trump principle, and that's what we're going to bring back to the White House. It's funny, all these people said that he was going to start a nuclear war, but President Trump knew more about diplomacy than any president of the last 40 years. In Asia, he opened diplomatic talks with North Korea after a half-century of stagnation. And you remember when he went to North Korea, he met with Kim Jong-un, the leader of that country. And if you know anything about Kim Jong-un, well, how do I say this politely? Kim Jong-un doesn't miss a whole lot of meals, okay, my friends? And Trump stands there with the media and Kim Jong-un. You remember this? I'd encourage you to go look it up. And he brings the media in and he says, all right, everybody, take some photos of us, make us look nice, make us look skinny. And Kim Jong-un sat up like that. It means something to have a president who's not afraid to go into hostile territories, tell a few jokes, and actually engage in diplomacy. That preserves peace. While all these Democrats lied about Donald Trump being the candidate of nuclear war, Donald Trump is the person who prevented nuclear war. And if we're not careful, Kamala Harris is going to walk us right into nuclear war. We got to kick her out and not give her a promotion to President of the United States. And maybe the most important thing Donald Trump did is he began the process of ending America's economic reliance on China. The most important thing, because Donald Trump understands economic security is national security. The whole world knows that China doesn't have better workers than America, but they're willing to lie, cheat, and steal to win. They lied about unleashing COVID-19. They cheat and they ignore trade rules, and they steal America's intellectual property. Now, Kamala Harris lets China get away with all of it, and China Tim helps her. Donald Trump isn't going to let China steal a damn thing. He's not going to let them steal our factories, not going to let them steal our jobs, not going to let them steal the American dream from American workers. Donald Trump will not allow America to be dependent on Chinese medicine for our children. That's a big thing. You know, so much of what we put into the bodies of our children is made in China. Doesn't make any sense. And Donald Trump will tell China that if they don't stop sending fentanyl into our city, there is going to be hell to pay. No more of that crap. We need somebody who stands up for American workers. Now, the establishment loves to complain about President Trump's approach to diplomacy. They don't like the way that he talks. Have you seen this? Why is it that our leaders are so careful with their words but so reckless with their actions? I prefer a different kind of statesmanship, one that stands up to the crowd, one that stands for American interests, and that pursues those interests ruthlessly but also carefully, with strong words and the strongest military in the world, but with great restraint to balance it out. Donald Trump's presidency was the first disruption to the failed consensus and the terrible consequences that it wrought. So I say, let him whine about Donald Trump's tweets. Because let's be honest, folks, mean tweets and world peace has a pretty nice ring to it. I think we ought to bring it right back. We have got a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to re-elect a man who's proven he's too big for the deep state bureaucracy. He's too tough for the tyrants all over the world. He was too strong even for an assassin's bullet. Ladies and gentlemen, let's return to a time when the bravest man leads this nation with strength. That man is Donald J. Trump. He was the once president of the United States, and we in North Carolina, we're going to make him the future president of the United States. God bless you, North Carolina. Thank you. Let's win this race. Let's do it together. God bless you all.
Why don't we liberate these United States? We're the ones who need it worst. Let the rest of the world help us for change, and let's rebuild America first. Our highways and bridges are falling apart. Who's blessed and who has been cursed? There's things to be done all over the world, but let's rebuild America first. Who's on the hill and who's watching the valley? charge of it all. God bless the Army and God bless our liberty, dadgum the rest of it all. In a minute position of backing away, freedom is stuck in reverse. Let's get out of Iraq, get back on the track, and let's rebuild America first. Once more. Why don't we liberate these United States? We're the ones who need it the most. You think I'm blowing smoke? Boys, it ain't no joke. I make 20 trips a year from coast to coast. Play it again.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they say there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there.
Ludacris going in on the verse, cause I never been defeated and I won't stop now. Keep your hands up, get them in the sky for the homies that ain't making it, my folks locked down. I never went nowhere, what they saying Luda's back. Blame it on that contour, the hood call it Luda yak. And I'm on this foolish track, so I spit my foolish flow. My hands go up and down, like strippers' booties go. My verses still be serving, tight like a million virgins. Last time on a college remix, now I'm on the original version. Can't never count me out, y'all better count me in. Got 20 bank accounts, accountants count me in. Make millions every year, the South champion. Cause all I do is
win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they say there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there.
swerving in my low, head on the swivel, you know serving me's a no-no. Clean as a whistle as I pull out in my Rolls Royce. Yellow bone passenger, they see it, they say, oh boy. Tell Cali, back it up, my call me loco. Down for armed trafficking, don't make me pull that. Ask you what you laughing at, represent that mud life. Dirty money, better get your mud right. We come together, holding hands and holler hood life. We all strapping all black, it's like, hey. You riding or what? Cause we riding tonight. Now you riding with me cause you wasn't riding.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they say there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there.
Heat in the kitchen, hot on the stove, water getting boiled. Being sold, Snoopy in the hookie, system overload. I've been running this rap game since I was 20 years old. I hung with the worst of them, bust till I burst them up, floss them up, toss them up, harder work, close them up. Pardon me, I'm bossing up, brace you up, bless you, bro, don't mess with us. We like the U in the 80s, back to back, set a track, hit the lick, get it back, get the trick, jump the track, want my money back, time and time again, while I'm sipping on this gin. Al Davis said it best, just win, baby, win.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. said it all. You told me that you wish I was somebody you never met. But baby, baby, something's telling me this ain't over yet. No way it was our last night. I kissed your lips, make you grip the sheets with your fingertips. Last bottle of Jack, we split a fifth. Just talking about life, going sip for sip. Yeah, you know you love to fight, and I say shit I don't mean, but I'm still gonna wake up wanting you and me. I know that last night we let the liquor talk. I can't remember everything we said, but we said it all. You told me that you wish I was somebody you never met. But baby, baby, something's telling me this ain't over yet. No way it was our last night. No way it was our last night. No way it was the last night that we break up. I see your taillights in the dust. You call your mama, I call your bluff. In the middle of the night, pull her right back up. Yeah, my friends say let her go. Your friends say what the hell, I wouldn't trade your kind of love for nothing else. Oh baby, last night we let the liquor talk. I can't remember everything we said, but we said it all. You told me that you wish I was somebody you never met. But baby, baby, something's telling me this ain't over yet. No way it was our last night. We said we'd had enough. I can't remember everything we said, but we said too much. I
for slander, for scorn, so that we could save the United States of America. Now, they couldn't beat him at the ballot box, so they tried to bankrupt him. They failed at that, so they tried to impeach him. They failed at that, so they tried to put him in prison. And they even tried to kill him. But as sure as that beautiful flag still waves behind me in the American sky, Donald Trump still stands, ready to fight, ready to win, ready to make America great again. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my friend and our President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Everybody, it's great to be here. What a place. Did you like the flyover? That was pretty good. We were going low and fast. That was moving along. That was pretty low. Just want to thank JD. He's doing a fantastic job. And I want to thank North Carolina. I love North Carolina. I love them. 76 days from now, we're going to win this state, and we're going to win the White House, that beautiful, beautiful building. That beautiful building. I want to thank Senator Ted Budd, who's doing such a great job. Senator Ted Budd, thank you. Thank you. Great job, Ted. Mark Robinson, he's out there. He's fighting. He's fighting. He's a great one. And I think we have a lot of our sheriffs here, don't we have? Where are they? Will this stage hold them? I'd love to bring them up. Come on, sheriffs, get up here. Mark, come on. I don't know if the stage is going to hold them, but if it doesn't, we've had bigger risks than this. Right? Come on, sheriffs. If you weigh more than 200 pounds, don't come up. I'm only kidding. Come on. Hi, fellas. Welcome to North Carolina. Thank you, sir. Sit down, guys. Come on down. Double them up, man. Come on. very much. Hey, sir. I don't know if this thing's going to hold it, but if it doesn't, we're not going to get it. Just so you know, these are great people, but I want to get them the hell off the stage because I guarantee they didn't have this in mind when they built this. Thank goodness Mark lost a lot of weight over the last couple of months. You did actually. Well, I want to thank you all very much. You are the reason we're able to be here and that you have a safe state and a great state. Thank you all very much. Thank you. That's some group of people for endorsements too. Every group virtually in the country, law enforcement endorsed us. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mark. Good luck, Mark. Will win. Got to win. He's got to win. Got to win. He's a good man. Thank you. Oh, I feel much better. I feel very much better that they got off the stage. I had no idea what was going to happen, but it's not that far down. You know, I had no idea what was. I'm a big structural guy. But I want to thank also members of Congress, Richard Hudson and Byron Donalds, two warriors, two great people, two unbelievable. Where's Byron? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Where's Byron? Oh, look at him over there. He knows how to get attention. Look at that guy. He's been my friend for a long time. Thank you for everything, Byron. And you have, thank you very much, congressional candidate Mark Harris. Mark? Hi, Mark. Good going, Mark. Good numbers. Good numbers. Brad Knott and Addison McDowell. They're all going to be winners very soon. Young, good-looking people. Thank you very much. Great. The State House Speaker, Tim Moore. Tim? Where is Tim? Oh, he's nice and safe back there. Oh, hello, Tim. I appreciate it, Tim. And Neil Jackson, State Rep. Neil Jackson. Thank you very much. Thank you, Neil. RNC Chairman Michael Whatley. What a job he's doing. What a job he's doing. And North Carolina GOP Chairman Jason Simmons, who's been a friend of ours for a long time. Where's Jason? Nice tall character right here. Thank you very much, Jason. And somebody that's been with me from day one, he's a real general. You know, we have the real generals and we have the fake woke generals that did so poorly in Afghanistan, should have all been fired. But this is a real general, Keith Kellogg. Right, Keith? And this is a great group. It's good to see you, Keith. He's been with me from before day one, right? He said, that guy should run. We got to get him to run. I like those guys. They were here before I ran. You know, there's quite a few of them, too. We have the front row, Joes, you know that? And very importantly, we have the most magnificent women. First time, you know, they travel all over the country to be with us for rallies. They're at close to a couple of hundred rallies. I don't know what their husbands are doing about this. This is a little crazy. Look how beautiful. And they're from North Carolina. And for a change, they don't have to travel so far, right? How far are you from here? 2 hours is nothing. It's a pretty big state, actually. Thank you very much. As always, you are special, special people, great women. They love our country. Before we begin, I want to address the massive scandal around the revised job numbers that were just announced this morning, a little while ago, just before I came up. I got to see them. And it really isn't a revision. It's a total lie. Total lie. There's never been any revision like this. They wanted it to come out after the election, but somehow it got leaked. It got leaked. Government leaks, too. The Harris-Biden administration has been caught fraudulently manipulating job statistics to hide the true extent of the economic ruin that they've inflicted on America. The new data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that the administration padded the numbers with an extra, listen to this one, 818,000 jobs that don't exist. So they said they existed, and they never did exist. They built them up so that they could say what a wonderful job they're doing. No, we've never had numbers like this. They don't exist. They thought they could do it sometime after, we have an election coming up very quickly, but they wanted this to come out after November 5th when it wouldn't have meant so much, but it came out a little early, so there's a patriot in there someplace, right? The real numbers are much worse than that. And Comrade Kamala, she's Comrade, the most radical left person ever to run for a high political office in our country, gets another 4 years, millions of jobs, and it'll vanish overnight. She gets 4 more years, you're going to see jobs vanish. Millions and millions will vanish, and inflation will completely destroy our country. We'll have inflation worse than they've given us. When I gave it to them, I had virtually no inflation, and now their number's up to 22, 23%, but their real number is probably 40 to 50% because a lot of the things in their numbers aren't included. I saw another one where the FBI releases crime statistics, and they weren't that bad. And then they left out little things like New York, Chicago. They left out various areas, and that wasn't so good. Your life savings will be totally wiped out. And if you put somebody like that in there with him, how about him? How about him? She'll destroy our country just like she destroyed San Francisco, just like she destroyed California. With the Trump victory, we will once again have the greatest economy in history. We're going to do things that are going to make us so great so fast. We're going to bring it back. We're going to make America strong again. We're going to make America great again. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic. So I just want to thank you very much for your support, because I've always had fantastic support from you. Thank you. Thank you very much. We have a job to do. We have a job to do. We had some very good polls this morning, despite their charade. I call it the party, the Democrats' party. Do you know 5 people in Chicago were killed in the last little while since that charade that they have going on? They mentioned my name, I think, 271 times. They mentioned the economy like 12 times. They mentioned the border, maybe none. They don't talk about the border. Our great border czar doesn't talk about the border. But they mentioned me more than any other category. I'm now a category. They had me down today as a category. That's all they talk about. Trump. We've driven them crazy. They have Trump derangement syndrome. We've driven them crazy, and they should be driven crazy. They've done a terrible job for our country in every single way. There's not a thing they've done well except cheat and lie. They lie about stats. No, they lied about the crime numbers. The crime numbers didn't look bad. Then they found out that many of the worst places weren't included in the numbers. And that was done by the FBI, which is sad. 4 years ago, our country was strong and respected like never before. Our allies admired us. Our enemies feared us because everyone knew that as an American president, I was all about putting America first. That's true. Under my leadership, we rebuilt the United States military, created Space Force, and we made our allies pay their fair share and their fair dues. We went to NATO. We say, you're not paying, you got to pay. If you remember, President Bush would go and he'd make a speech. Obama would go, he'd make a speech. They all made speeches. This one didn't even make a speech, this last one. But I went, I said, nobody's paying. You got to pay. And they did, paid hundreds of billions of dollars. They said, well, does that mean you won't support us if we don't pay? I said, that's what it means. I had to say that. I got a lot of heat for that. People, the fake news. Oh, that's a lot of fake news. Oh, that's a lot of fake news. No, the fake news gave me a hard time for that. The fake news was saying, what a terrible thing to say to our allies. Our allies weren't paying. And I said, you got to pay. We were paying for everybody. So they take advantage of us on trade, and then we also pay for their military. That somehow doesn't work. So they had to pay. They paid hundreds of billions of dollars. But I said to them, no, that means I will not protect you. I will not protect you. They said, sir, if we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? Used to be Soviet Union, now Russia. Will you protect us? I said, are you paid? No, let's assume we're not paid. Then you're delinquent, right? Well, yes, that's an old real estate term. You're delinquent, yes. No, we will not protect you. The press went crazy that I said, and you know what? If I would have said the other way, they would have never paid. Hundreds of billions were sent into NATO. But we defeated ISIS, we killed the world's top terrorists, we secured our borders, we achieved energy independence, we stood up to China, we protected Israel, we made peace in the Middle East with the Abraham Accords, and more. We did things like nobody ever heard of, and we brought our troops mostly back home. We didn't start any wars for 79 years it was before. We didn't start wars, 79, 80 years. Everybody said, oh, he's going to start wars with his attitude. No, my attitude kept us out of wars. I stopped wars with phone calls. Russia should have never happened. With Ukraine, would have never happened if I were president. Would have never happened. No, there was no talk of that. Would have never, ever happened with Putin. Would have never happened. And Israel, October 7th, would have never happened. Iran would have never done that. They had very little money at that point. Now they're rich as hell. But Biden allowed that to happen, and Kamala, where's Biden? What happened to Biden? Where is he? He's on a beach. He's on a beach. You know, he's got somebody that thinks he looks great in a bathing suit. He likes to go to a beach. How do you leave here and go on a beach? You can't do it. There are things you just don't do. People don't want to see you in a bathing suit. Walks badly. It's hard to walk in the sand, you know. He has a hard time lifting his feet through the sand. And then he grabs the chair. The chair is meant for old people to lift and young kids to lift, like, you know, 4-year-old kids, right? And he can't lift it. He needs a little help. The whole thing is crazy. How we ever got that is crazy. And what happened to our country with inflation and with disrespect from all over the world, and all these wars are starting all over the place. And we're very close to a third world war, and don't kid yourself, because they are laughing. But they're not laughing too much. They're a little worried about a certain person winning the election. We had some very good polls today. And if that happens, you're not going to have any third world wars. Every American was safer under President Trump. In fact, the entire world was safer when I sat behind that beautiful, resolute desk in the Oval Office. You know, I heard the other day, for the first time, I heard Biden say, the beautiful, resolute desk. He never said that before. They copy me. When I say we're a nation in decline, guys are copying me. Then they say they shouldn't say that, but they thought the words were beautiful. But they copy me all the time. In that case, it was Republicans that were copying me because they happen to be right, so I don't mind if a Republican copies me. Any of you guys want to copy me. But it's a sad thing to have to say. But they copy me. The resolute desk, he never mentioned that. He doesn't even know what the hell the resolute desk is. Exactly 3 years ago this month, the weakness and incompetence of Kamala Harris and crooked Joe Biden delivered the most humiliating event in the history of our country and one of the biggest military disasters in the history of the world, as far as I'm concerned. No one will ever forget the horrifying images of their catastrophic retreat from Afghanistan. Desperate Afghans fell to their deaths from the wheels of U.S. cargo planes that were 3,000 feet up in the air. Bloodthirsty terrorists poured out of the prisons after Biden and Harris surrendered Bagram, one of the largest air military bases anywhere in the world. We spent billions and billions of dollars building it many years ago. And, you know, it was important to keep it. I was never leaving that. I would have been out faster than them. I said, that's not, we were there for almost 21 years. And I said, what are we doing? What are we doing here? And we had no soldiers killed for 18 months while I was there because they knew, don't play around with our soldiers. They were killing them. They were killing them under Obama. Did you see Barack Hussein Obama last night? Take little shots. He was taking shots at your president. And so was Michelle. You know, they always say, sir, please stick to policy. Don't get personal. And yet they're getting personal all night long, these people. Do I still have to stick to policy? Sir, you must stick to policy. You'll win it on the border. You'll win it with inflation. You'll win it with your great military that you built, that they gave away $85 billion worth of it in Afghanistan. Sir, you're going to win it on crime. The crime is running through the streets like never before. You're going to win it on all of these things, and maybe especially, I think two things, the economy, inflation, because I view them together, what they've done to inflation, and they caused it with energy. What they did with energy is so stupid. If we were there, our energy, we would be so dominant all over the world right now. We were already energy independent. I made you energy independent, but we would be energy dominant. We'd be paying back debt. We'd be reducing your taxes still further. We gave you the largest tax cuts ever. And a lot of good things were going to happen, but now we're just going to have to sort of call it a delay of 4 years. But these people don't have any idea what they're doing. You had 13 heroic U.S. service members were tragically and needlessly killed. I got to know a lot of the relatives, friends, and mothers and fathers of those 13 people. 45 others were horrifically wounded, and $85 billion worth of the best military equipment anywhere in the world was handed over to these people. In fact, Afghanistan is now one of the largest arms merchants anywhere in the world. Did you know that? They're selling our equipment at tremendous prices. They're selling our beautiful. We had 70,000 armored trucks, many of them armored trucks and vehicles. Think of this. We had 700,000 rifles and guns. I actually say, what the hell did they need so many for? 700,000 rifles and guns. We had goggles, brand new, right out of the box. You know, they didn't fight at night because they never had goggles, right? Good fighters. They never had goggles. Now they have brand new goggles, all left by the Biden-Harris administration. Gave them billions and billions of dollars, just gave it to them, and now they sell that equipment because they don't need 700,000 rifles. They need 20,000, little difference. They don't need 70,000 vehicles. They need 500 vehicles. You have to ask yourself, who bought all that stuff in the first place? Who bought it all? How disgusted we're all when we see, all of us are, when we see 3 days ago when we viewed their parade, our military equipment running down the middle of their main avenue, brand new, beautiful, armor-plated trucks, tanks, and vehicles running down the middle, and they're all celebrating because we have stupid people running our government, and she'll be worse than Biden because he wasn't really a believer, but she's a radical left believer. She ruined San Francisco. She ruined California. And if she gets in, our country doesn't have a chance. This calamity is on Comrade Kamala Harris's shoulders. I think her name will be Comrade because I think that's the most accurate name. You know, I've been looking for a name. People are saying, sir, don't do it. You know all my names. They've all worked. They've all been very successful. And I really didn't find one with her. Sir, she's a woman. I said, so is Hillary Clinton. I called her Crooked Hillary. So nobody complained about that, right? Right? Mr. Governor, nobody complained about that. No, I called her Crooked Hillary. I call people names. I call crazy Nancy Pelosi crazy because she is. She's nuts. You know, Biden is really angry. You know, he's very angry. He was so angry the other night, he's like seething. You ever see a guy make a speech? There's such anger and so uncomfortable, just shouting. But he's terrible. He's just terrible. Should have never been there. We all know that. Should have never been there. What they've done to this country is incredible. But she bragged that she would be the last person in the room, and she was. She was the last person in the room with Biden when the two of them decided to pull the troops out of Afghanistan. And by the way, pulling them out was absolutely right. I was going to do it. I'm the one that got the soldiers down to 5,000 people. I was going to do it, but we were going to get out last. You don't pull the soldiers out first. You let the soldiers stay last. And the head of the Taliban respected me, Abdul. I had conversations with him. After my conversations, not one soldier in 18 months was killed. but you pull the soldiers out last. Milley and these guys, you know, we have great generals, but Milley and Mattis and these guys, they didn't know what the hell. I call them television generals. The television generals are no good, but the generals that defeated ISIS, for me, were great. We have a great military. But she had the final vote. She had the final say, and she was all for it. You take the soldiers out. If I took that young person right there, about 5 or 6 years old, beautiful young person, and if I said, I gave it little details, like about 30 seconds worth of details. Would you take the military out first or last? Sir, I'd take the military out last. But they took it out first. And then we left hostages. We left all of the equipment. We left everything. And we left Bagram. And now China is occupying Bagram. Bagram being 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. Wouldn't it have been nice to have our big, fat, beautiful base? It was probably built there for that reason. But China 1 hour away, and now China is occupying that massive, big base. Some of the biggest runways in the world. They can hold heavier loads than any runways in the world. Under my leadership, we were getting out of Afghanistan, but we were going to get out with dignity, pride, and with strength. When I left office, we had not lost a single service member in the combat in Afghanistan in more than 18 months. And then we had that horrible day where we lost so many, and so many were so badly hurt. Arms, legs gone, face just obliterated. We lost so many great people that day. Nobody talks about the people that were so badly injured. They never mention them. I always mention them. All over the world, our adversaries knew that America was not to be trifled with when I was your commander-in-chief. And you know, it's very interesting. If you look at Hungary, very strong country, very strong leader, Viktor Orban, he said the only thing that's going to save the whole world is Trump has to be president again. We had no problems. We had no problems. He said, we had no problems. I don't use the term, but he did. He said, China was afraid of him. Russia was afraid of him. They always said, oh, I was so friendly to Russia. I'm the one that stopped the Russian pipeline called Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever, the biggest development they ever had to feed oil all over Europe, I stopped it. And then Biden comes in and he gives them everything. He gave them the pipeline. They built the pipeline, but I stopped it. Putin said, that's the worst thing that's ever happened to us. I said, I'm sorry, I have to do it. And he approves it right away. And then they say, Trump was not strong on Russia. I think they got it wrong. Putin actually said, if you weren't strong, I'd like to find out how bad would you be if you were strong, because you were brutal. But, you know, I got along with him. It's good to get along with these countries. I got along with China. That wouldn't have happened. What's happening right now, they're planning an attack on Taiwan. There's no question about that. That wouldn't have happened. It wasn't going to happen. They knew that you weren't allowed to do that. Putin would have never gone into Ukraine. Israel would have never been attacked. It's a sad, sad situation. So many people are dead. So many people are gone. So many cities. You look at Ukraine, those cities are just wiped off the face of the earth. They're outside of Kiev and a couple of others. They're basically just flattened. Far more people dead than they let you know. It's like your numbers that were released fraudulently today. Far more people dead in that war than anybody would know. When those big buildings come tumbling down, hit with rockets, so ridiculous. There's nothing left. It's so ridiculous. But since the Afghanistan catastrophe, it's been open season on America and our allies. I really believe that the Afghan disaster, what happened, the stupidity and the way we pulled out and the bedlam and all of that, it would have been very smooth. We were going to get out with strength and dignity. But when Putin saw that, he said, wow, those people don't know what they're doing. They're overrated. And he went in, and the same thing happened with Iran. Iran was not going to play with us. And now Iran is a rich nation. They have $300 billion. They had no money. And in 3.5 years, they made $300 billion. $300 billion they have right now. They made it all in 3.5 years. They had none when I left. And we would have made a fair deal with them. They can't have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. You can't have a nuclear weapon. Other than that, we want you to have great lives. But I do hear they're after me, but, you know, that's the way it is. Look, I'm here for you, and I'm here even for the world. We want to stop world wars because the equipment is so devastating now. A world war is obliteration. We can't have a world war. Every dictator, tyrant, and terrorist on the planet knows that they can get away with murder under Kamala and Crooked Joe. Kidnappers are getting millions and millions of dollars, but now they're getting billions. They're getting billions. What did you get for the 4 people that we released? Sir, they got $6 billion. What is $6 billion? Does anyone know what that means? $6 billion. They got $6 billion. People get kidnapped and, you know, they ask for like, how about $1,000? How about 500? They got $6 billion from these idiots. And you know what happens? When that happens, a lot of people are going to get kidnapped because they say, we're dealing with stupid people. A lot of people. We had 59 people that were hostage. Some in North Korea. That's about as tough as it gets. We got people out without paying for anything. We never gave money. We didn't want to give money. If we gave money, all they do is they go around kidnapping everybody. These people give, not only do they give $6 billion, they got the Prince of Death out. He's the #1 arms merchant in the world. Russia got him as part of one of the deals. The #1 arms merchant in the world. And we got a couple of people. But, you know, why were they there? And why did they do what they did? But they got some of the most criminal, the toughest, meanest criminals anywhere in the world. On top of that, we paid them billions and billions of dollars. We're run by very stupid people. I'd like to use a different word. I'd like to use a much more sophisticated word, but there's no word I can think of. Incompetent. How about incompetent? As a result, peace in Europe has been shattered by the largest European land war since the fall of Nazi Germany. This is the largest war there's been, and this war is going to escalate and escalate. When, if, but when. I have to always say if, you know, because they cheat. I would say when if they didn't cheat, but they cheat. That's the one thing. They're great at cheating in elections. If we win, I'll get that thing settled before I take the office. I'll get it settled as president-elect. I'll get that war stopped. With Russia, yeah, we'll get that stopped. Ukraine and Russia, we're going to get it stopped, and quickly. It'll be done before I get to office. It would not have happened if I was president. It wasn't going to happen in the Middle East. The Jewish people have suffered the worst atrocities and deadliest attacks since the Holocaust. There's no question about that. The United States has been forced to abandon more embassies under Comrade Kamala than at any time in our history. We're running out. It's not like we're leaving. We're being run out of these embassies that cost us hundreds of millions of dollars to build. You got to see these embassies in the middle of nowhere in a country you've never even heard of. They spent $900 million to build an embassy. The whole thing is crazy. The world is on fire, and Kamala and Biden have marched us to the brink of World War III. That's what we're in. I think, General, you would probably agree. You're one of the experts, I would think, right? I don't even talk to you about that lately. It's so out of control. I don't even have to bother. I just say, look, take a look. But one of the great experts, and we're on the brink. That's why this November Americans are going to tell Kamala Harris, that we've had enough. We can't take it anymore. You're doing a terrible job. Comrade Harris, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired. You're no good. You're fired. Get him out of here. All you have to do is take a look at San Francisco. Look at the job she did. She had one policy. If you steal less than $1,000, basically $950 to be exact, I want to be accurate for purposes of reporters. The fake news media, they want accuracy. They don't have to be accurate, but we have to be accurate. But if you steal less than $950, they basically leave you alone. So I have guys going in and robbing stores with a calculator. Let's see, this is $100. Did you notice? This is not going to happen in North Carolina, I don't think, is it? No. Let's see, that's $100, that's $59. Bing, 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 bing. Stop. But we don't want to go over $950. They walk out with it. Nobody does a thing. Starting the moment I lift my hand from the Bible after taking the oath of office, I will move to restore America to maximum strength and return the world to peace. We're going to return the world to peace. And mostly I can do it with a telephone call. You know, we don't have to send troops. I can do it with a telephone call. You go to war with another country that's friendly to us or even not friendly to us. You're not going to do business in the United States, and we're going to charge you 100% tariffs. And all of a sudden, the president or prime minister or dictator or whoever the hell is running the country says to me, sir, we won't go to war. I talked this world out of a lot of wars with telephone calls. I don't have to send in the troops. One of my most urgent priorities will be to quickly rebuild the readiness and spirit of the United States Armed Forces. And we had it built. We rebuilt it. We rebuilt the whole military, but it was decimated under this group of stupid people. You know, we had so much. When I came in, we had no ammunition. Did you know that? Remember? I used to talk about it. And I said, if it's true, which it was, why would you say that? We had people on television. Well, the United States has no ammunition. You know, some things you just keep to yourself, right? Do you remember I used to, from North Carolina, do you remember I used to talk about that all the time? Those are my best witnesses, those ladies. There's about 40 of them. They're all over the place. And they're always perfectly coiffed and perfectly dressed. They're beautiful and they're great. But no, I used to talk all the time. If you have no bullets, I can ask this group of leaders, you don't talk about it. But you get the bullets really fast, right? So within a year, I had so much that our warehouses were stocked to the gills. We never had so much. I bought so much, missiles, everything. I rebuilt our military, but that's been all dissipated now again because we give it away to everybody. And for nothing. I mean, they don't do anything for us. We don't get anything. We don't even get a pledge that we'll pay you back someday if we have the money. How about that? Pay you back someday if we have the money. You know, I sponsor athletes sometimes. If I see somebody that I like in sports, I sponsor some golfers. Usually doesn't typically work out. I don't know if you know, it's like a 5,000 to 1 shot. But I'm good at that stuff and I can see talent. And I'll give them a few $1,000s. I'll give them $50,000. I'll say, you know, you're really good. You could make it. Why aren't you trying out for the tour? Sir, I have no money. I have to give lessons. I have no money. He said, you're too good to give lessons. You can be a tour player. I said, sir, I don't have any money. I said, here's $50,000. And here's the deal. If you do well, you pay me back with no interest. Just good luck. If you don't do well, which you probably won't, because it's very hard, they say the worst is a boxer. If you sponsor a boxer, they're all great. They're winning all their fights. And then they turn professional, and they go in. And this goes with the UFC, run by Dana White, one of the greats of all time, which has really taken over for boxing. But it's the same thing, and people sponsor people, and they get what they get. But the worst is that. What's wrong? Oh. A doctor, please. It is very hot here, I notice. It's very hot. And a lot of the people waited for days to get here, so I understand it. Take your time, doctor. Take your time. Thank you. Yeah. Take your time, please. Thank you very much. You know, they come 2 days, 3 days early, and it's a lot of stress. We lose them. The only ones we don't lose are front row Joes. I don't know what they have going. They have something going here, Governor. Thank you very much. Thanks, Doctor. But America's blessed with the greatest military in the world, but our men and women in uniform have been betrayed by radical left politicians and some generals, and at the top, they're woke. They're woke. We don't want woke generals. We want generals that know how to win, and we have them. We proved that when we wiped out ISIS, didn't we? Proved it. Sure, it'll take 5 years. We did it in three weeks. I think we did it in 3 weeks. We have the greatest military in the world, but you need the great leaders. Otherwise, your military can never be great. Everywhere I go, soldiers and veterans tell me how angry they are that not one person has been held accountable for the Afghanistan catastrophe. He never fired anybody. You know, I fire a lot of people when they don't do a good job. Then they come back and write books. You know, they hate you, but that's okay. When you don't fire people, they never write books, you know. But I fired a lot of people. I wasn't happy with their service. I wasn't happy with the job they did, and I fire them. I let them go. I mean, I'm working for you. I'm not doing this for myself. But when you fire them, they always come back with something. And now nobody's ever been in the position where, you know, they get offered all sorts of money from the fake news and everything else, and fame. We're going to make you famous. All you have to do is make up some stories about Trump. But people don't seem to care. It's phony stuff, phony, horrible. They're lightweights. They're terrible people. You know, when I came, don't forget, I didn't know anybody in Washington. I'm president of the United States. I'm going down Pennsylvania Avenue with the biggest load of military and police and motorcycles and everything you've ever seen. And I didn't know anybody. I said to my wife, I don't know a lot of people, but the people I know, I got recommendations from a lot of good people, well-meaning people. Some were good. Most were great. But we had some bad ones, too. But now I know them all in Washington. I know the good ones, the weak ones, guys like this. I know the weak ones and the bad ones, General. We know the dumb ones and the smart ones, don't we? We know them all. But the voters will hold Kamala and Joe accountable for this November when I take office, and they're going to be held accountable for what they've done to this country. Right? Thank you. I will ask for the resignations of every single senior military official who touched the Afghanistan disaster. I want their resignations immediately. And I want them on the desk in the Oval Office, the Resolute desk. I want them on at 12 o'clock, Inauguration Day. Everybody involved with that disaster. When you have a disaster so stupid as that caused us such problems, you don't know what that's done to the reputation of our country, the Afghanistan disaster. This house cleaning will be a signal to the entire world and America military and everybody else. They want people to be held accountable for failure and incompetence. And it's just not acceptable that something like that could happen. These are fighters. They fight with broken, old, obsolete weapons and knives. We have F-16s. We have F-35s, F-32s. And we were knocking the hell out of them. Just knocking the hell out of them. It was easy. But I said, what the hell are we doing this for? Let's get the hell out of there. We were getting out with such strength. They were so happy they couldn't believe it. And then these people came in, and it's horrible to even think about what happened. And countries all over the world lost respect for us because of Afghanistan. We demand success and we demand victory. We want victory from our soldiers and from everybody else. Under Comrade Kamala Harris, and I call her that because there's never been, she's a Marxist, okay? I was saying, do you think she's a Marxist or a communist? To people that really study this stuff, they weren't able to tell me. They said it could be all the way, it could be communist, but she's damn close. They said it was definitely one or the other, but they couldn't actually tell me. Was it communist or Marxist? Sir, it's one or the other. We're not sure. We'll figure it out. But under Comrade Kamala, Our military has been abused for radical social experiments. On day one, I will get critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our U.S. armed forces. We're taking it out. Our warriors should be focused on defeating America's enemies, not figuring out their genders. By that time, hopefully they know their genders. Marxist ideologies have no place in combat. Think of it, they go in and they decide, oh, they're going to change my gender. No, we want them to know their gender when they go in. You have no idea the disruption that has caused, and the fake news refuses to report it. You know, when I did a ban, I went to a lot of good generals. I said, I'm not going to tell you names. Just tell me, is it the right thing or the wrong thing? The wrong thing, sir. It's the wrong thing. And I had unanimous support. And then we did it. I didn't do it. Other people did it. They reversed me as soon as they got in, like almost the first day. I didn't do it. But they allowed things to happen to our military that just not right. If you want to have a sex change or a social justice seminar, then you can do it somewhere else, but you're not going to do it in the Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, Space Force, or the United States Marines. Sorry. You're not going to do it there. The military brass that led these absurd and insulting initiatives will likewise be removed, and they will no longer be in command. They're going to be gone so fast. Kamala and Crooked Joe purged 8,000 service members from our military for refusing their COVID vaccine mandate. They refused to do it. We didn't want a mandate. The mandate, you just can't do that. I will rehire every patriot who was fired from the military with an apology and with back pay. They will get their back pay and an apology from our government. Hopefully they have great jobs right now and they're making a lot of money. But if they want to come back in, they get an apology and we sign them up and they get their back pay. Should have never happened. The mandate stuff should have never happened. Thanks to Comrade Kamala and Joe Biden, morale in our military is now so low that almost every single branch is suffering a major recruitment and retention crisis. You know that. Upon taking office, I will begin the largest peacetime recruitment drive in the history of the armed forces. We have to fill our armed forces with great people, but they don't have spirit now. There's no spirit. Used to bring, other soldiers would bring their friends in. Now that doesn't happen. Almost never happens. The sense of spirit, pride, and prestige will soon come roaring back and reach levels never seen before. We're going to make it so hot that I'm going to want to resign and join the military. I don't know what rank I would start at. I guess I started private. I don't know. What rank would I have to start at, General? I have to start pretty low. He said you'll start at the top. All right, then I'll stay here. That's very good. You'll start at the top. He knows what to say. America's military must always be unrivaled and unbeatable. I mean, I see reports coming out where they do studies, and they said under these circumstances, we'll lose a war to China. Number one, if it's true, why are we saying it? And number two, it shouldn't be true, should it? It shouldn't be true. Not going to happen. Why would they release a report like that for China to read? We're vulnerable here. She said they're idiots. That's a good word, too. Who's the woman that said that? Stand, please. Who said that? That's very good. No, it's true. She says they're idiots. No, they released a report talking about all of the vulnerable areas. We need more this, we need more that. We're weak here, we're weak there. I don't know who does this report. Why would you release a report like that? So after years, that's like saying we have no ammunition. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have no ammunition at the time. We're the United States of America. You know why? We gave it all up to Ukraine and various other places. We gave them everything. Empty our warehouses of all of our ammunition. Let's give it to people free of charge. Free of charge. Cost billions. Free of charge. Everything's always free of charge. So after years of horrific depletion with the comrade sending our missiles and airplanes, ammunition to other countries, I will make a historic investment in rebuilding the U.S. Armed Forces. I did that once before. But I have to do it again because they've depleted it, just like they've depleted the strategic oil reserves, you know? We have the strategic, in all due respect, it's not for filling up your car so that you have 4 cents a gallon less and that you vote for Crooked Joe. It's not meant for that. It's meant for war. It's meant for tragedy. It's meant for real stuff. It's at the lowest point today in its history. We almost have nothing left. And we had it at a level that was such a beautiful thing to see. We will increase funding, but at the same time, the days of blank checks for the weapon systems over the past are over. I tell you what we will build, though. We're going to build a great iron dome over our country so that we don't have to get hit. We give it to other countries. We help Israel and other countries. And Ronald Reagan wanted it many years ago, as you know, but we didn't really have the technology then. He was right, but we didn't have the right technology. Today we have unbelievable technology. And, you know, we have other countries that have it. This country should have it. And we're going to make it right here, and we're going to make it in other of our great places. But a lot of it's going to come right out of your state. It's time to create the arsenal of the 21st century. We need that. That means aggressively shifting funding to keep America on the cutting edge, investing heavily in drones and robotics and artificial intelligence and hypersonics. Do you know, hypersonics, these are missiles that go 7 times faster than a fast, ordinary missile. 7 times faster. So fast that, for the most part, you can't shut them down and you can't shoot them down. They're going at levels of speed that nobody thought was possible. Do you know, that was our technology that was stolen by Russia. And Russia has them, and I started them very quickly. But somebody gave Russia, years ago, before me, all of our plans and specs for hypersonic missiles, and they built them, and we didn't. He said Bill Clinton. He could be. It might have been, in all fairness, might have been a little after Bill Clinton. I used to like Bill Clinton. Can you believe it? It could have been Barack Hussein Obama, perhaps. We should ask him. Now, he was very nasty last night. I try and be nice to people, you know, but it's a little tough when they get personal. Please, again, remember, please, sir, don't get personal. Talk about policy. Let me ask you about that. We're going to do a free poll. Here are the 2 questions. Should I get personal? Should I not get personal? Ready? Should I get personal? Should I not get personal? I don't know. My advisors are fired. No, we'd rather keep it on policy, but sometimes it's hard when you're attacked from all ends. I mean, they want to put you in jail for nothing. For nothing. For cases that the legal scholars all over the country have said there is no case, and they want to put you in jail. And I could have done that to Hillary Clinton. I could have put her in jail. She turned away subpoenas, and she damaged stuff, and she wouldn't give things after a subpoena was sent, from the United States Congress. I said to myself, we want to bring the country together. Wouldn't it be terrible to put the wife of the President of the United States in jail? Wouldn't it be terrible? And then I come out, and they do it to me. And there's no feeling as, wouldn't it be terrible? But we won the big case in Florida. That was totally won. And Biden didn't. You know, Biden documents, I had the Presidential Records Act. I had a right to do whatever I wanted to do. That was passed in like 1978. But Biden didn't have a right to do it because he wasn't president. And he was there for 50 years. He took stuff. And the ruling was basically he's guilty as hell, but he's got no memory. He's a nice man with no memory. Actually, they're wrong. He's not a nice man and he has no memory. He's not a nice man at all because he started weaponization. And weaponization is a double prong that can come back to haunt them, too. It's a terrible thing for our country, I can tell you. A terrible thing for our country. We need a dramatic increase in research. We need a very dramatic increase in development. And in so doing, we will create countless American jobs, including jobs right here in a place called North Carolina. Do we love North Carolina? Laura Trump is from North Carolina. She named her daughter Carolina, the wife of Eric. I now say that he's the husband of Laura. We changed it. He's great. He's great, and it's a great couple, but she loves this place. She just loves it. She's here all the time. And, you know, she comes and we love her too. She's amazing. She's got a great talent, and she, along with Michael Watley, are running the Republican National Committee and doing a great job. You know, a lot of times when you do that, they'll say, oh, family. Let me say, this is not a job that this is a tough job. And our primary focus is not to get out the vote. It's to make sure they don't cheat. Because we have all the votes you need. You can see it. Every house along the way has signs. Trump, 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 Trump Vance, Trump Vance. And by the way, Vance is doing a great job. Vance is doing a great job. Look at that beautiful red Vance. No, but these signs are all over the place. I see it everywhere, no matter where. In Florida, they're all over. Because people want to see common sense. You know, we're the party of common sense. It's not conservative, liberal. They don't want to be called liberal anymore. They want to use progressive. We're progressive. Progressive. I think liberal is more appropriate. Progressive is such a beautiful word, right? You know, it's progressive. Progressive means go forward. They don't go forward. They go backward. As we rapidly rebuild American deterrence, we will quickly restore peace and stability in our country, but all over the world. We'll make our country a much safer place. We're in grave danger of a war, a third world war, I tell you. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, and as I said, we're going to do things that are going to be shocking to people. But what I'm going to do more than anything else, I'm going to get things in line, and we're going to prevent that World War III. And if you look at what's going on with Ukraine and Russia, if you look at it now, there's an incursion into Russia. Then there'll be another incursion the other way. Then and then all of a sudden, bad things will start to happen. They're already starting. By contrast, if Comrade Kamala wins this November, World War III is virtually guaranteed to happen. Everything she touches, she destroys. Everything that she's touched, you look at her life. She was district attorney in San Francisco. The place went to hell. It's the best city in the world, probably 15, 18 years ago, 20 years ago. Maybe in the whole world, it was one of the best cities in the world. Then she becomes the Attorney General of the state of California. That place went to hell. It was helped by Gavin Newsom. Newsom helped, but she was terrible. And it's crime-ridden, and you can't walk down the sidewalk anymore. It's just unbelievable what's happened to that state. So sad. Best weather, beautiful ocean, everything is good, but they've just let it go to hell. And she's going to do the same thing to the United States. And when she says, I'll let you frack, her whole career she said no frack, in Pennsylvania in particular. No, because they get tremendous wealth from fracking. They're going to be stopped, 100% they're going to be stopped. She just changed her view a few months ago. You got to see, she ran against Biden. There were 22 people running. She was the first to leave. She quit because she went down like that. And she was the first one out. She never made it to the first state in the primary. She never made it to Iowa. Never made it to Iowa. She didn't get one vote. And she still hasn't gotten one vote. And she won't have one vote. Think of it. Biden, I'm not a fan of Biden. I think he was terrible. A terrible president. What he did to our country, you look at him with the planes and the stairs and the falling all over the place, and he had no idea what the hell was happening. He couldn't find his way off a stage. A stair here, stair there, stair. I got stairs all over the place. He'd finish his speech and look around. Where am I? His speeches lasted. The nice part, it was good in the hot sun because they lasted for about 2 minutes and you could go home. But nobody would come anyway. But we can't let her. She's much worse than him, actually, because she's actually more radical. He never believed it. He just did it for votes. I don't know why you'd get votes by having open borders. She wants open borders. If she became president in 4 years, you'd have 60 to 70 million people from all over the world. And it's not just South America. And remember, they're releasing them from their jails and their prisons. They're coming out of jails and prisons and mental institutions and insane asylums, then we have hundreds and probably thousands of terrorists that have come into our country. We probably have a few here. Welcome, welcome. But we probably have a few here. And she's all for it. And now she's saying, and you see what she's saying, well, the wall was largely built. We were adding space onto the wall. We built hundreds of miles of wall. I actually took it because Congress gave us a hard time, and the Democrats were brutal. We had 11 lawsuits, and we won all 11, but I took it out of the military. I called it an invasion of our country. It was an invasion. And we built hundreds of miles of wall, and then I was going to do 200 extra. We ordered it. It was there, and we had that rotten, horrible election, that horrible election where we did much better than we did the first time. And bad things happened, and all of a sudden, I hear that they want to have open borders. And I thought they were kidding. Who the hell wants open borders? And then they said, we'll give you health care. You know, now they're saying all about how they're getting tough on the borders and how they were tough, except they have a couple of problems. Do you know that we flew in 1 million people, airplanes, over the top of the border, beautiful airplanes. They're flying them in. If you want to stop people, you're not flying them in on airplanes and many other things. No, they wanted open borders, and we have a country that's loaded up with many, many criminals right now, of the worst. They emptied their jails. They emptied their jails and prisons. They emptied their mental institutions into our country, largely. Now, they're continuing to do it. But if you look at many of these countries that we're talking about, frankly, who can blame them? They're dropping their prisoners into the United States of America. They're dropping all of these people into the United States, including their mental institution people. Any terrorists they have, they're dropping them into the United States. We're taking hundreds of thousands of people that were in jail for murder. You take a look at Venezuela, their jails are half. And I'm surprised half, because frankly, I would have worked faster than that if I were running it. I would have had all of them out of there by now. They go to Caracas, they take all their gang members, all of their killers, their murderers, their drug dealers. They take them and they're putting them into the United States, and their crime is down 72%. In fact, next time what we'll do, instead of North Carolina, we'll have our next little gathering in Venezuela, because it will be much safer than being in our country. If these people win, you're not going to have any meetings, you're not going to have anything. There'll be chaos in our country. And we just can't let it happen. We can't let it happen. We can't let it happen. Remember, when Biden sent Kamala to Europe to stop the war in Ukraine, she met with Putin, and then 3 days later, he attacked. How did she do? You think she did a good job? She met with Putin to tell him don't do it, and 3 days later, he attacked. That's when the attack started. Did you know that, General? Should have sent you. But over 500,000, they say, are dead or wounded, but it's a much higher number than that. And everything lies in ruin. Look, we are going to fight like hell to win this election. They are going to cheat like hell to win the election, because they have no bounds. They have no bounds. I've said to some Republicans once, in a place called Philadelphia, which I love. I went to school in Philadelphia, but it's suffering tremendously, like Chicago, like every Democrat-run city is suffering. But I said, like, why do we allow them to do it? Do Republicans do what they do with the stuffing the boxes, with all of the different things they do? Sir, we're proud Americans. And that's really the right thing to say. But they have no bounds. We have to win this election. If we don't win this election, we are in such trouble as a country. We're in trouble right now, but you have the right guy to straighten it out. I'll get it straightened out. I'll get it straightened out fast. We're going to have peace through strength all over the world like we had just a short while ago. And I just want to say, closing, it's an honor to have served for 4 years. I wish we didn't have this break. The only thing good about the break is it shows how bad it can get, because we've never had a country that's been in shape like this country is in right now. We have squalor in our streets. Our vets are disregarded, living on sidewalks in freezing cold and unbelievably hot cities all over the country. And yet we have people coming into our country that are living in luxury hotels. This is what we have. We're going to straighten out our country through common sense. We're going to straighten out our country with the United States of America. We're the greatest country in the world. We're not going to let this continue to go. We're going to straighten it out. We're going to make it bigger, better, stronger than ever before. We're going to bring in business. We're going to use tariffs to take advantage of our great strength and to, frankly, hurt countries that are hurting us and have been hurting us on trade for many, many years. Right now, China is building massive auto plants in Mexico, and they think that those plants are going to make cars and they're going to sell them across the line for no tax, no anything, destroy what's left in Detroit, which, frankly, compared to years ago, is very little, and South Carolina and many other places. We're not going to let it happen. We will charge them 150 or 200% tariff, and all of that investment that they made is now worthless. We're not going to let them do that. We're not going to let them destroy our automobile industry. The United Auto Workers has a grossly incompetent man at the head. They want to make all electric cars, and Elon Musk is a friend of mine. You saw he endorsed me very strongly, and he understands that I'm right. And I love electric cars, and they have an incredible purpose. They have an incredible purpose. They're unbelievable what they can do, and he makes a great product. But I told him, I said, you know, before you endorse, you have to understand, we have to have gasoline-propelled cars. Again, we have more liquid gold than anybody anywhere in the world, more than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia. We have more than anybody. We're going to quadruple that business. We're going to be much bigger than both of them put together. We're going to pay down debt. We're going to reduce your taxes. I gave you the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulatory cut in history. That created all of the jobs. And when Biden talks about jobs, by the way, because they lie so much, the jobs he created, almost all of them, almost 100%, people say more than 100%, went to illegal aliens. The other, remember this, the numbers sound good because they're called bounce-back jobs. We had a pandemic. People were laid off, and then as soon, and this is common for ages, when a pandemic goes, you have bounce-back. The businesses, and had we not done what we did with money, probably some of you benefited, but we would have been in a 1929-style depression. We did it just right. The problem is, they came in, they no longer needed money. We gave them a country that was fixed. And more people died during Biden, think of that, than died during us from COVID. Many more people died during them. But think of this, we gave them a country and they blew it because they took so much, they took trillions and trillions of money, they kept feeding it. And that's what caused, along with their bad energy policies, that's what caused this tremendous inflation, which is destroying the people of our country. And frankly, it's contagious. It's all over the world. But we're the ones that started it with their bad policy. So we're going to work very hard. We've got to win. We've got to win this state. This state is a very, very big state to win. We've won it twice, and we're going to win it again. I said to a couple of the people, I said, so let me ask you, how are we doing compared to 4 years ago and 8 years ago? They said, sir, you're much hotter, you're more popular. I hope that's true. But we won it twice. And all I can do is pledge to you that we're going to do a great job for North Carolina. We're going to do a great job for the United States of America. We put America first, and we're going to make America great again. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Young man, there's no need to feel down. short